Surely a man who lived thousands of years ago and spent many years as a Roman emperor has nothing to tell us about how to retire successfully in the modern age, right? Maybe, but I'd suggest the thinking and, more importantly, the writings of Marcus Aurelius is something we should actually visit to learn a lot about how we live our lives, how we navigate change, and how we choose to spend our time in the next chapter of our lives. So in this video, I want to talk about Marcus Aurelius, who was not only an emperor, but one of the original and most prominent Stoic philosophers, and the 7 ways his insights can help us not waste the next chapter of our lives. Welcome to What Happens Next. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome and its surrounding territories from AD 161 to AD 180 and held the prestigious title of Roman Emperor, one of the most powerful positions in the ancient world. However, I see Marcus Aurelius not only as a Roman Emperor, but as somebody who has unique insights in a wide range of subjects. And interestingly, those insights applied to our modern lives. We've got bucket loads of unique insights about Marcus's thoughts because he loved to write. In fact, in between leading armies, navigating the impact of plagues on his populace, and making decisions which shaped the ancient world, he wrote Meditations. Now, Meditations was never meant to be a book anybody else was meant to read. It was his diary, it was his internal notes, it was his private notebook, in fact. And only after his death was this personal notebook shared with other people. But interestingly, the ideas have been tenacious, lasted for thousands of years, and shared now in the modern world by millions, because there is unique insight into the work of Marcus Aurelius. You see, Marcus deeply considered and wrote about things which still remain challenges in the modern world today, many of which we need to consider when we're navigating change in our 50s and 60s and thinking about either retirement or what happens next. That included working with purpose, working out to live with purpose, how to handle change, and how to continue to be good, however we decide that means for us, in a world that often feels unfair. So let's explore what I believe is the 7 lessons Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of that we can learn from, which directly help us live the next chapter of our lives in the best way possible. And number 1 is that Stoic philosophy of accepting what you can't control. Marcus constantly reminded himself that much of our life lies outside our own control, including other people's emotions, other people's opinions, the passage of time, and even our own inevitable aging. I recently had an interesting conversation with somebody who told me that he'd lived the last couple of decades more living his life under a perception of what other people expected him to do than the life he wanted to lead. Now, accepting what you can't control is a bit more than this. I think there is a point to raise about understanding that you can't control other people's opinions, but you can control your actions. But I also think there's an interesting point here, particularly when we're navigating the next chapter of our lives, because it's really important to work out what you want as opposed to work out what other people perceive as success and align your goals to that. There's a great question I love. If you knew you had all the money in the world, and more importantly, you knew nobody would laugh, the nobody would laugh element of this question is really important, as it's designed to remove the societal expectation of what other people believe you should do. The reality is that you can't control whether other people laugh or not. But maybe asking this question allows you to consider making decisions which will get you closer to the life you truly want and not one you're eventually going to regret. The second lesson from Marcus Aurelius is to live in accordance with nature. For the Stoics, nature meant more than the outdoors. It meant living in alignment with our true selves and purpose. After decades of working life, many people reach retirement and suddenly lose that sense of alignment. Marcus might suggest that this is the perfect time and headspace to rediscover the life you want to get to. It's probably worth asking a couple of questions. Firstly, what feels natural to spend your time doing now? And secondly, what pursuits, rhythms and relationships allow you to live in harmony and in alignment with your own values? Thirdly, remember the brevity of life. Marcus wrote a lot about memento mori, a concept designed to remind us that one day we're all going to die. Now, this isn't designed to be morbid, it's actually designed to be empowering. And if you watch it through the right lens, if you look at memento mori through the right lens, I believe it's a super powerful tool to not waste the most finite and valuable commodity we've all got, and that's time. So, how do you make the most of the time is a question that I'd ask. And understanding how you want to spend your time, particularly in the next chapter of your life, knowing that the time we've got is limited and one day we will die, is a really important step to take. Fourth is to cultivate inner calm. Marcus had a lot going on in his life. He faced immense pressure. During his reign, he had to deal with wars, politics, famine and loss. Yet he worked to maintain an inner calm through reflection and stillness. Interestingly, he adopts a practice that I try to use today to cultivate inner calm: meditation through writing. It's no surprise his book, that was for him above anybody else, is actually called Meditations. Although, to be fair, my biggest worry at the moment is whether the dog wakes me up barking at 2 a.m, not war, politics or famine. As we start to navigate our retirement, many discover that as the internal noise and our busyness fades, an internal dialogue full of worries about health, money or relevance grow louder. Working through activities that help you develop an inner calm through meditation, reflection, journaling, time in nature might be one of the greatest luxuries people in modern society have. My next tip is to be of service. Marcus, as emperor, didn't see his role as a despotic leader, but one where he served the people who lived in the Roman Empire. It wasn't about self-glorification, it was about service. And his writing, which remember was only designed for him to read, was all about a deep commitment to duty and contribution. Retirement can often tempt us to withdraw entirely, but lasting fulfillment often comes from what we give to other people. And retirement or the next chapter of your life is a perfect opportunity to do that. As Marcus Aurelius would remind us, we're all part of a great community and our role changes in it, but it never ends. It's why, as part of the What Happens Next model, we focus so prominently on community as a core component as a life well lived. As we now know, Marcus Aurelius' seminal book, Meditations, was never meant to be read by you and I. It was never meant for publication. It was a tool for him to personally grow and reflect. He used to question himself daily, review his actions, and continuously and incrementally improve. Retirement and the additional time it gives us a rare chance to become more curious, to learn for learning's sake, to ask, what do I want to understand before my time is up? I journal using a Word document with the questions I want to ask myself, but there's a million other ways you can do it. The evidence shows, however, that reflecting and regular writing for ourselves is a great thing to do. Now, I'm not sure what questions you ask yourself when you're journaling and reflecting, if you do. But we're in the process of building and designing a great reflections journal for the What Happens Next community. It's going to be either a digital or leather-bound version, and we've not done it yet, but if you'd like to be one of the first people when it comes out to get access to that beautiful journal, and we're working hard to make it beautiful, all you need to do is click the QR code or click the link in the notes. It will take you to a page, give us your email address, and we'll make sure that as soon as it's released, you are one of the first people to get a copy. My next tip from Marcus Aurelius is to focus on character and virtues in Stoic language, not circumstance. We spend so much of our life chasing titles, achievements and recognition. And Marcus, who had all three, concluded that none of it truly mattered. What mattered was the kind of person that he was becoming. I think Marcus had a point. And it's also been sung about by pop princess Miley Ray Cyrus, because she wrote a song about the climb. You think about it, it's what we learn in the direction of our goals that's often more important than achieving the goal. I think it's really important to remember that. It's not the achievement, it's the journey towards the person you become along the way. I think there's a strong argument to say a meaningful retirement isn't defined by where you go or how much you spend, but by the kind of human you develop into throughout this chapter of your life. Marcus Aurelius didn't have a pension as we know it today, a paddle club membership or an electric car. All of those things would boggle, I reckon, poor Marcus's mind. But he did have something we can learn from. A philosophy for living fully, intentionally and with integrity. You see, as Marcus Aurelius might say, and I believe, the next chapter of our lives is a perfect opportunity to live wisely, act kindly, and leave the world just a little bit better than we found it. Now there's bucket loads I believe we can learn from the Stoics, and to learn more about the Stoic rules that might inform the next chapter of your life, simply click this video to watch it now. And I had a deep dive recently into the concept of memento mori and how we might practically apply it to our lives, and to watch that video simply click here. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you on the channel soon.